Hi, Geoff here. Welcome to the wild food forest of Zaytuna Farm. It's one of my favourite places for food forest. There's all kinds of stuff going on here. Most of it edible, some of it support species. But there are acres and acres of food forest here that we've planted with students to give them experience. And now we're a community. We have 8 shareholders. And a lot of food forests are on the common area. I always knew this was going to happen. Now we're bringing them into maintenance because everybody has their own small, intense food forest around their own share, around their own house area. I'll take you and show you mine as I develop a new one. But this is the wild system. Let me show you what we're doing with it because it's really, really interesting. So I swing around, come past the driveway, and we slip onto the other side here. There's a large tipu here with a dragon fruit on a tipu pollard. What a classic combination that is. And then as we swing around, you can see that we really are in heavy maintenance. We're pollarding. So let me take you through that section and show you what it's like. So here's our dragon fruit over a tipu pollard. That has to be cut yet. But we go past this beauty and we go into this section here. Here's some young coffee and behind is a jaboticaba. I'm going underneath a custard apple. I'm going next to a mango and past a guava. And the first thing you notice is we've cut most of the ice cream beans and tipuana tipus down as pollards. These are all going to re-sprout, but they're producing all this material. Look at this material. It's everywhere, all over the ground. Now the tops have gone for mulch through the chipper or, oh, actually this is a feijoa here. Now opened up to the light. It's going to go well. But we're taking material to the goats, we're chipping green material for the compost, we're chipping branches for the compost, and we still have surplus material on the ground. And it's going on top of Singapore daisy. Now, Singapore daisy is a plant that people are terrified of. That usually means it's something I'm going to like because it's a hard worker. I like exploiting hard workers in the plant world. There's a lot of benefit to exploiting hard-working elements, and if you're prejudiced about your workers, you don't get a good result. We get a great result. So we suppress it with branches and we suppress it with shade, and by the time we've got shade, we've got the result we want, a canopy of food forest. So we've got citrus opening up to the sun here. We've got bunya pine. We've got lots of guava. We've got a rose apple back there. There's lots of feijoas. The system's opening. There's lots of bamboo. We've always got lots of bamboo. But this is extensive. It goes for quite a long way. So I'll crunch my way through this area. There's understories here of food crop. There's taro, grows pretty well in the shade. And you can always extend it out to a more productive garden. I'm trying not to trip over all the organic matter that's produced every year and consumed by the soil. And we're cutting some hard-working elements down, like here's a little cassia, and the stump's re-sprouting. So there's lots of volunteers trying to keep working for us. There are elements that want to produce organic matter, fast, rugged carbon pathways. Here's a cocoa yam, again, like a taro, a root crop. It'll hang in there pretty well as a biological reserve. Anytime we want to move it out to the sun, it'll go really well and produce loads of food. There's a palm here. And the palm here is a jelly palm, a fruit producer. Good tree, good palm. Produces a fruit and is a mycelium fungi associate to harvest phosphate. Now here I have a casuarina that's actually almost suppressed by a climbing yam, which is a great edible root crop, a perennial edible, fantastic crop. Biological reserve here, but also great food. There's lots and lots of root crop in the food forest here. Lemons, well, we're oversupplied with lemons. We're oversupplied with citrus. It's just everywhere. There's unusual crops like acerola cherry. There's a small acerola cherry here next to the lemon, highest fruit in the world in vitamin C. Now there's a custard apple. Here's a Brazil cherry. And I'm going underneath a mulberry, which is deciduous at this time of year, so it has no leaves. And everywhere you look, there's different diverse elements doing different jobs and performing forest functions. It's literally a forest. Lots and lots of climbing yam. We've always got root crop. There's a mango emerging into the light. And on we go. Species after species. Oh, I can see a tamarillo in the distance. There, the large leaf. There, loves the understory there. Tamarillo. There's lots of tamarillo through the forest. Bananas are getting shaded out. Their successional event is finished, more or less. Now they're mulch. And if we go on down, you'll see we come down to another track coming through the forest, a well-used track. Right at the moment, I'm sort of chunking my way through the rough material. Actually, I'm going past a coral tree, which has not been pollarded. It's been coppiced because we really restrict the coral tree. Another plant that people are worried about. But if you put in the work, they're great carbon pathways, like all of the plants and trees people are worried about. They're just worried about hard workers. So here's a key apple, or num num, called in South Africa, right next to the track. A large bunya. Oh, it's emerging. Take 18 years to fruit. There's hundreds I've planted on the site, and we'll be oversupplied with bunya nuts in the end. And then we've got lots and lots of coffee. There's probably 1,000 coffee bushes all the way through this section of the forest, and they love the shade. They boom in the understory of a food, but they're like a byproduct of the food forest actually. Coffee by default, I suppose. In the background, there's a swale, and on the swale bank is galangal, another root crop of spice. Now, this section was done a bit earlier, so we've already got an emergence of coppice, regrowth. Pollard, coppice. Pollard is higher like this, coppice is lower. So the ice cream bean's coming back. And it will produce lots and lots of biomass to be cut next year. So a year later, we'll be doing this again. And gradually, we suppress these to lower and lower numbers, so there'll only be 5% of the mass in the end, and 95% of the mass will be fruit trees. Walking on through the food forest, we're going through lots of coffee here. Starting to produce quite well. Coffee coming through. And pollard reshooting. We've got lots and lots of cut here. But every time we do it, the fruit trees get a boost of fertility from the nitrogen in the ground, the mulch at the surface, and the exposure to light. And we continuously get more and more biomass. Here's ice cream beans shooting back. Here's Lucina shooting back. And here's Tijuana Tipu shooting back. This is pollarding. This is putting these hard-working elements that fix nitrogen to work for us. Why would you not exploit the plants of the world that want to build soil for you? Here we have our camping shelters, and we've got a bit more management going on. We've still got pollards, and that's a tipu resprouting, but we've got a heavier maintenance to make it a little bit more user-friendly to our campers. Not everybody understands the wild look of a food forest. So here we've heavily pruned. We've taken away our branches so people are not freaked out by the fact there might be snakes. And we've actually mowed the Singapore daisy to be a lot more respectable. So this is not so wild a space. It's open to the public and feels a lot safer. Another tipu resprouting. Mexican sunflower here, that's also a weedy species we use as a hard-working mulch producer. And we've even got some nice exotic flowers in here. There's a whole mixture of fruit trees. Here's some beautiful red hot pokers coming up. They're a gorgeous looking little feature in amongst the food forest. Mango, guava, custard apple, Brazil cherry. Now here's an ice cream bean, Inga edulis, and that's resprouting after a pollard cut. Everything we choose resprouts and gives us more organic matter every year to feed the soil, fix nitrogen, and participate in managed forest functions that give us a great diversity of food. And it can look tame like this. We think this looks pretty tame. We're coming to the end of it now. We're back into the native regrowth forest, which has lots of weed species as well, actually. And that goes through to Mexican tree fern. I've got to put that one in, Schizolobium, beautiful tree. We have quite a few of those. But our native forest goes from weeds to native forest over a sequence of pioneer events. The regen people want to poison everything, of course. It seems as if they're poison subsidised. But this valley here, below our campsite, is classified officially as a rainforest emergent camphor laurel canopy. Camphor laurel is a weed, but sticking right out the top are rainforest trees. Now, the only way that's actually happened is the camphor laurel, the weed tree, has actually pioneered without any help from anybody else. In fact, a lot of hindrance. It's pioneered a native rainforest. Our sequence is pioneering through to a food forest. Same game, same system, just humans manipulating for their own benefit of diverse, organic, healthy food. And nature does exactly the same thing with no prejudice whatsoever and pioneers through to a native forest using hard-working immigrant species that are very efficient, fast carbon pathways. I think you should listen to nature and see what nature does and how it works, rather than continuously being in opposition to the functions that are all around us. And we can use those as lessons to grow our own sustainable systems. Now here's a section of new food forest that's more intense. So here we have a row of legume trees on a sprinkler. It used to be a garden, but it's been converted. Here we have a diversity of fruit trees with no support species, and then a row of legumes on the outside edge, and that repeats downhill as it's being established. So this is a more intense, small-scale food forest establishment. And that can be completely different to a wild, broad area system that I've shown you. Now here's a small section of food forest along a thermal mass wall. So there's a whole mixture of trees there, and there are legume trees in a row on the edge. And then we have a garden. So we have a standard organic garden here, but it's in the same proportion as the food forest. So as we go down, we get a repeated pattern of support species. Sugar cane in the foreground, black sugar cane that is. Just there, great for juices. And the garden's diversity reduces and goes more and more into a main crop in the lower section as we get further from the house. But on the opposite side, we have food forest being established in between rows of legumes. So we have here a more orderly system, a smaller system with more intense management. So we have trees as productive trees between rows of legumes. It's much more ordered than the big wild system. And we have compost being put around each tree, then cardboard and wood chip. So you can see that happening right here. The wood chip has actually come from the legume trees. The food forest and the support species are providing us with high quality wood chip mulch. Now, as we go through, there are systems here with lots and lots of interplants, but no legumes. The legumes are in a row on the edge. Not too big an area, close enough for these legumes to have an interaction. There's an area here yet to be planted. It's got 1 or 2 fruit trees already gone in, and an area that's been established a little bit longer, and it's getting some fresh cardboard and fresh wood chip put in. More maintenance, more management, more ordered and disciplined setup for the support species. Well, there you go. I hope you've enjoyed that. We've gone from the wild, extensive, older food forest down to new, ordered, disciplined, well-maintained food forest. Give you an example. They come in lots of forms, but they all function like a forest.